Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. And today I want to talk about mods, and in particular I'm going to talk about 5 plus 1 bonus character that I often see that are a bit mismodded. And before I go into the list, I'll kind of explain what I mean by mismodded, is that there are definitely certain circumstances where you might want a character to be modded for, protection, health, damage, whatever the case may be, right? There are certain circumstances, but in general, there are certain guidelines that you'll follow with a character because of where you'll use them. And so I'll kind of explain those scenarios. And so that's why I'm kind of not doing a bunch of characters all at once. I'm going to kind of stick with 5, and that way you guys can kind of see my logic behind it. So I'm going to open them up, and we are going to first look at General Skywalker here. So the reason I have General Skywalker on this list is twofold. One is that since he was nerfed, his damage took a nosedive, and also so that I can show you guys kind of the other thing you need to be thinking about with him. So for my General Skywalker, right, before we go into what his mods actually look like, we're going to read his kit. And in particular, you want to read his uniques here, right? And so whenever he's critically hit, right, he dispels all debuffs on himself, right? And the reason that that's important is that it means that tenacity isn't really that big of a deal with him, right? That he's not going to be sitting there dazed if he gets critically hit, right? And you also means that you don't really want crit avoidance on him, because when he does get crit, yes, he'll take additional damage, but he'll cleanse himself, and that cleanse is really helpful. But down here, it's at the start of battle, he gains 25% defense, 15% max protection. He's gaining 25% tenacity as is for all other for each other 501st ally, right? So again, and then it goes into the rest of his lead about the clones, right? But what we want to look at there, right, is the 25% defense and 15% max protection for every other 501st ally. So you want to max out those stats, right? You want to be like, yeah, you know what? I want those. And so when we pop into his mod sets here, you'll see that I have an offense set and a defense set. The reason I like an offense set on him still is that he does deal some nice damage. Still not crazy, but enough that it warrants an offense set. He's still an attacker, right? He still has some pretty decent offensive stats. So I think the offense stat still works really, really well with him. So on my square here, the big things to look for are crit chance percent, right? And that's helpful because when he crits, he will increase your cooldowns. And then it's also, if you notice, got almost 5% extra protection, right? So again, protection really important there. Again, here, the diamond, I just have it. It's got a lot of speed on it, which I like. It's got a decent, got a really good offense secondary there. The health percent, health is not super important. It can actually, in some cases, hurt our General Skywalker, which I'll get into here shortly. So then we've got a protection, right, with a flat protection percent and speed. We've got another protection here, right, that I don't really like the health percent here, but it has, decent offensive stats on it. So now you'll see I have a defense set, right, which is my last one. Again, more protection. The potency is helpful to help land his dazes. And then finally, a protection arrow on him. It's got decent speed, health, and tenacity. Aren't doing him a ton of favors, but just was kind of looking for a half-decent arrow there. So here are his stats over here, right? 273 speed, 129,000 protection, 71,000 health. Now, why I was saying that I went with a defensive set rather than a health set is that the most common counter to General Skywalker is Commander Luke Skywalker. And when you think about Commander Luke Skywalker's kit, what are we looking at there? We're looking at that Commander Luke is going to be using exposes from C-3PO, and expose damage is based on his max health, on the character's max health. So with a character like General Skywalker, you reduce that max health and load him up with protection. It takes that much longer to get him to sit down and can cause complications for that Commander Luke team. And so this is all kind of coming from the standpoint that your General Skywalker is leading your 501st team. If he's in your Jedi Master Luke or Kenobi team as a squad member, I could see the case to be made for you to maybe mod him for offense. But now with, Squad Arena kind of no longer being a thing, you're really only going to be using General Skywalker as a 501st lead. So go all out protection, guys, and you'll see your holds increase. You'll see wave counts increase in territory battles. And overall, I think you'll just have a better experience playing with a 501st. So next, we're going to look at General Kenobi. The reason I put General Kenobi on this list is because a lot of people I see still run protection on him. And the only situation where you want protection is when you're running him under a Revan lead or maybe Jedi Knight Luke. But even under a Jedi Master Luke lead, having a high health Kenobi still probably is more beneficial. But really where you're running Kenobi is under Padme or under Jedi Master Kenobi, whose kits are both based around protection up. And if you guys don't already know, protection up is based on your max health. It's not based on your max protection. So the more health you can load on Kenobi, the better. So you'll see I have 3 health sets and just health all around, right? I mean, there's nothing real crazy here. It's just health. I looked for as many health percent secondaries as I could on my square and diamond here. You could use some defense stats on him, right? You could use a defense set. I would still always stick with the health primaries, but defense, some defense sets will make him, where those will help is in a situation where you're facing a team that maybe deals exposed damage. You lower that a little bit, that defense gets higher, but overall, I mean, you can't go wrong with health with him. So nothing real crazy here. It's not really anything in his kit. It's just where you're using him. So Jedi Knight Revan. This one is one that I've kind of more recently been looking at and seeing that it's better to run him with survivability rather than damage. I know a lot of people will run their Revan and they'll give him a crit damage, triangle here. They'll give him an offense cross down here. I really just don't see the benefit there. He's not there in your team to deal a lot of damage, right? He's there to pass turn meter, dispel, help avoid taunts, right, or get around taunt. He's not in your team to deal damage. You're not calling Revan to assist with abilities a lot, right? You're just trying to get him to use his specials. And so you want the speed, but you want him to survive, right? Revan is not a very strong character as is. So you'll see that mine's got 100k health and protection. Not super great. I did go for protection, triangle, and cross. The reason I did that is because I've been using my Revan to counter Lord Vader a lot, and damage over times deal damage based on max health. And so if you juice up the health on your Jedi Knight Revan, what ends up happening is that Lord Vader is going to be dealing more damage to you because you've got a higher health pool, right? So if you load him up with protection, it's a little bit harder for those damage over times to kill Revan. So you'll see I've got 3 times protection on him. Again, no crazy offense stats. He's got decent speed. I would like him to be faster, but with the characters I have in my teams and where I'm kind of heading, 316 is perfectly, acceptable for how I'm using him. Next one here is Royal Guard. So I picked Royal Guard because I wanted to show, mine is not modded at all. Do not use these mods. I just want to talk about the way you should be modding him, which is health and defense. So the best way you could do Royal Guard, in my opinion, is 3 defense sets with as many health primaries as you can. I mean, mine, I don't have the best mods on, but you'll see that I went for as much health as I can. The reason you want to do that is because Royal Guard, with his rework now, right, it's going to say that Royal Guard, at the start of the encounter, if the allied leader is Empire, Royal Guard gains 5%, or gains max health equal to 5% of the allied leader's max health, and then doubles his health until the end of the encounter. So you think about that, from the modding perspective, right? Even under a Lord Vader lead, uniques happen before leadership. So Royal Guard is going to double his max health, and then Lord Vader's lead is going to come into, and take effect and take his protection and throw it into his overall stats. And this has been tested in other videos you can go and look for, where it's still best to mod him for health rather than protection. And so inside that Lord Vader, these stats still hold up, but outside, protection isn't really doing anything if he's going to be able to double his max health. So you look at this, I mean, I've got 73k health on him with only one, sliced health mod here up to, 6E, and we're already at, 73,000 health. So now at the start of the encounter, he's going to get 5% of the leader, which, if you're running him under like Emperor Palpatine and he's got, I don't know, maybe 40k health, right? So there's 20k, and then, or 40k, so he'll get what? 5% of that is like 2,000, so nothing crazy, but then he's going to double that, right? So he's almost at 150,000 health at the start of the battle. That's a really beefy Royal Guard there, guys. So again, health for him, defense sets, if you can swing it, just make him incredibly difficult to kill. So the last character of the 5 here is the Mandalorian. Now, the reason I put the Mandalorian on this list is a lot of people I see mod him for crit damage. And he's not in your team for the damage. And I'll show you why. It's on his unique. I don't have this Zeta equipped yet. It's going to be one I'm going to do down the road. Right now I'm not focusing on my bounty hunters. But it's right in here in his unique that says, each time the Mandalorian scores a critical hit, other bounty hunter allies gain half the amount of bonus turn meter, right? And then if you look at the, entire thing, it's saying each time the Mandalorian scores a critical hit, he gains 30% turn meter, and then other allies will gain half that amount, right? So every time he's critting, he's gaining 30% turn meter, and other allies with that Zeta gain, or other bounty hunter allies gain 15%. So the only thing that matters with him is crit chance. The more he crits, the more turn meter you're getting, the faster your team's going to be taking turns. So you just want him critting. And so for him, 3 crit chance sets with crit chance percent, and on the primary triangle here. And then if you can swing it, mine unfortunately just doesn't have great, like this one's got 4% crit chance there on the secondary. Up here, we got some more crit chance. So if you can, you really want to juice as much crit chance in your secondaries as well, and just get him to constantly be critting, constantly feeding turn meter to your team, and you will see just how much better your bounty hunter team gets. So then for our final bonus character, we are going to look at our friend Enfys Nest. And the reason I bring Enfys Nest up is because there are a lot of ways that I've seen her modded, and I kind of want to show you what I think are the best mods for her. There's a couple of different scenarios that you can use her in, but I'll kind of show you what I think. So you want to look at her kit here. So whenever she's damaged by attack, she gains 30% crit chance and 40% bonus protection stacking. This bonus protection increases an additional 40% each time. Both of these bonuses expire or reset at the end of her turn, right? And then whenever an enemy loses a buff or debuff, Nest gains 2% critical damage and health steal stacking until the end of the encounter. So the big things we're learning there, right, is that she's gaining that critical damage and health steal stacking throughout the entire battle, right? And she's gaining that critical chance and bonus protection, which means that eventually, like when she gets damaged, she's always going to be critting, and her crit damage is going to just keep stacking and stacking. So eventually, she's got a crazy amount of crit damage. So the way that I've modded mine is for 2 health primary here, all tenacity, right? We want a crazy high tenacity. This way she can't get stunned, dazed, that it's more difficult to debuff her, and that she can go in solo teams, or that it's harder to get her in a situation where she's not countering, right? So obviously offense here with tenacity, right? I have potency on here. I really wish that was health percent, but we'll take the tenacity. You'll see here that I've got protection percent, health percent, tenacity. So we got, tenacity and offense percent. Tenacity with, health percent, crit chance. Here with health and tenacity. And then finally a crit avoidance. We've only got flat health here, but we've got decent tenacity. So the reason I say health is because, again, bonus protection based on max health, right? So my Nest is only Relic 3, so she's got almost 60k health, which isn't crazy high, but again, for Relic 3, it's not terrible. But you'll notice that I don't have a ton of speed on her, right? speed isn't really important because she's countering, right? That if she's taking more turns, she's actually more vulnerable because she won't have that bonus protection keeping her from getting one-shotted. And so the reason I like the crit avoidance arrow on her is that by running this crit avoidance, what I'm able to do is when it is her turn, right, she drops that bonus protection, it's going to be harder for an enemy to get a big hit out on her, because if she, doesn't get critically hit, you're not dealing nearly as much damage to her, and then she's going to get that bonus protection. And with that health steal stacking, if you did take away any of her max health, she's going to get it back, and she'll be good to go again and can really just start timing out teams. And so with Enfys Nest, guys, there are other ways you can run her, but I think tenacity with this crit avoidance is the best way to go, in my opinion. It kind of gives you that versatility of being able to utilize her in a squad or as a solo in Grand Arena. Yeah, guys, so those are, 5 characters plus Nest that I really think, we can switch that you could switch your mods around and get a lot more out of them. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.